Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to Angel's Life. I welcome you to Greenville, Alabama. Now, this is another one of those cities that I have recorded a couple of times before for this channel. But again, since I run this channel a little differently and I do my traveling vlogs a little differently than I did earlier on this channel, I decided to come back and redo Greenville, Alabama. So welcome to Greenville, Alabama. Now, Greenville, Alabama is located in the south central region of Alabama in Butler County. It is 45 minutes south of Montgomery, Alabama. You can get to Montgomery, Alabama from here taking Interstate 65. That would be the quickest way to get to Montgomery, Interstate 65. Or you can get to Montgomery taking Route 31 North. Your choice. And, one good thing about living here in Greenville, for those of you that might be interested in moving here, is I will tell you right now, you will only be a couple and a half hours away from the beaches of the Gulf, of the Florida Panhandle. So you're not too far from the metro, and you're not too terribly far from beaches. I don't think 2.5 hours is bad at all, taking into consideration that people that move to some of these places from the north typically have to drive, 16 hours each way just to get to the Gulf. So anyways, the population here is 7,374 people, and as of the 2020 census, this city has lost 9.4% of its population. Now, from 1980 to the 2000 census, here's the weird thing about this city. From the 1980 to the 2000 census, this city has been losing people steadily. But in 2010, this city actually gained 12.5% of its population. The population back in 2010 was 8,135 people. So I don't know what caused the population gain in 2010, and I don't know exactly what caused the population decline between 2010 and 2020. I think that's kind of weird, because normally when a city goes through a population decline, it's going to be steady all the way to dates. But anyways, the racial demographics here are going to be 35.6% white, 58.2% black, 1.8% Hispanic, and 1.6% Asian. Now, this is another one of those cities that the last time I was here and I recorded, there was a lot of information that I did not know about the city. And back then, I was a lot newer to Alabama, so I really was not all that familiar with how many of your cities throughout the state of Alabama were set up. And this is one of the many cities that I thought I knew, but I didn't know. And I'm not saying even now I know everything about this city, but I do. But I know a lot more about this city than I did before, because given that I've been living here in Alabama now for a few years, and I've been traveling all over the states for this channel and for other purposes, I'm a lot more familiar with Alabama now than I was back when I first began to record videos here in Alabama. Now, when it comes to Greenville, Alabama, me personally, I'm not much into living in town. I prefer the outskirts of Greenville, and there are plenty of areas on the outskirts of Greenville that are quiet, that are rural, to where you get more You know, you get more land with your house. But throughout the duration of this video, I'm gonna focus on the city proper of Greenville for the most part. Now, for those of you that are looking at moving to Greenville and you do not want to take that drive into Montgomery to work, the type of jobs that are here in Greenville are going to primarily be factory work, production work, manufacturing. And many of the factories here in town are going to be manufacturing automobile parts. And of course, here in Greenville, you do have Walmart, you do have a hospital, and you do have a few other medical facilities for those of you that work in the medical field. And also for those of you that may want to work here in Greenville, but you don't want to work a factory job. And also, if you come here to Greenville, rather you come here to Greenville to reside or you come here to Greenville to visit, check out the Sterling Lake Park. I've been there a few times. I even recorded a couple of videos at that park. I recorded a video there, I want to say, over the summer. But if you go to Sterling Lake Park, I mean, there's 41 different campsites there, and they have a golf course. And you can go there and do a little bit of fishing, I believe, too. So go check out that park. You know, if you jump on 31 and you travel north going towards Montgomery, the park is gonna be off of Route 31 going north. So really, to be more specific, it's going to be going towards Fort Deposit, which is north of here. And I do have a video of Fort Deposit on this channel if you're interested in watching that video to get an idea of what Fort Deposit looks like. And just a little bit of history about this city in concerns of the economy. The economy here in Greenville used to be cotton during the slave trade days, starting in the 1850s due to the construction of the Mobile and Ohio Railroad, which they constructed a railroad which basically cut through the city here in Greenville, and the railroad went into Montgomery. The construction of the Mobile and Ohio Railroad is what caused the transition from this city being just an agricultural city to a city that does manufacturing. Because due to the construction of the railroad, this city was able to receive material that would be needed for manufacturing. And plus it was able to ship off other products to Montgomery. And Montgomery was able to bring products here to Greenville. So that's just a brief history of the economy here in Greenville, of how and why it went from agricultural to manufacturing. Now, if you want to live here in Greenville and you're looking to purchase a home, right now your home prices are going to start at $65,000. I would say if you want to buy anything that's half decent in a half decent neighborhood, the house is in half decent condition, my suggestion to you is to look around for is to plan to pay at least $125,000. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest with my opinion about the housing here in Greenville. Right now, if you're looking at buying a house in Greenville, I wouldn't buy a damn thing. And I'm not saying that because Greenville is a bad city. I'm saying that because, in my humble opinion, I think the housing prices here are way too expensive for what the city has to offer. And what I mean by that is, the economy here is okay. It's, it's functioning. But the jobs in this region of Alabama do not pay all that well. To be quite frank, jobs in Alabama, period, don't pay all that well, which I've told you guys on previous videos, which is one of the big reasons why the cost of living here in Alabama is so much lower than many other parts of the country. Because the wages here are among the nation's lowest, unfortunately. So, taking into consideration the wages of a lot of your jobs here in Alabama, especially in this region of Alabama, even if you drive into Montgomery, yes, you'll have more job opportunities. Yes, the pay will be a little better because you're in the metro. But even in Montgomery, the pay ain't gonna be all that. And then you have to factor in the time that it takes to drive to and from Montgomery, the gas, the traffic, and all that other bullshit. So I would say, for what Greenville has to offer, I personally think the housing prices here are a little too expensive. I think if you're looking at living here in Greenville, you might want to go ahead and rent, and then when housing prices come down, or you come across a house that's a little reasonably priced, then act on it. Like a lot of the houses that, if you go on realtor.com, a lot of the houses that you see for $120,000, $130,000, just back in 2021, a lot of those same houses were selling for 60 grand. No joke. So a lot of the housing prices here are artificially inflated. I feel that you have a lot of institutional investors coming here and buying up a lot of the cheaper houses, which is what's causing a lot of the housing prices to go up in more of your affordable areas. So right now, unless you come across a house that is reasonable, that you feel is reasonably priced, I wouldn't buy a house here in Greenville. I would sit out for a year or two, wait for the housing prices to come down, and then see what's going on. But in the meantime, if you choose to rent, your median rent prices are going to go from $560 to $1,000 a month, which again, it's not that I think the prices even for rent are a little high, but at least if you're renting, you sign your lease for however long, like for a year, let's say, and then when that year is up, you can always renew it, or you can always tell your landlord, hey, I'm moving on, so I know I'll see you, whatever. And if you got children here in Greenville, the school system here is average. The school system here scores a C+, so it's average. And when it comes to the crime here, and this is per 1,000 people. Now, I'm gonna say right now that the majority of the crime that happens is gonna most likely happen on the south side of the city. The crime, your property crime is going to be 18. So for every 1,000 people, 18 people will most likely become a victim of property crime here in Greenville. And the most common type of property crime here in Greenville is going to be theft. And when it comes to violent crime, for every 1,000 people, 5.4 people will most likely become a victim of violent crime. And the most common type of violent crime is assaults. Now, when it comes to the average, when it comes to crime, Your property crime is 18. National average is 19. So your property crime is a little below national average. Now, of course, I'm just going by the numbers that have been recorded. There's always a possibility that the city intentionally did not keep accurate records of the crime. That does happen. So I thought I'd put it out there as a disclaimer. And when it comes to violent crime, the violent crime numbers are a little higher than national average. Your national average is 3.6 out of 1,000 people. Here in Greenville, it's 5.4 for every 1,000 people. Now we're gonna go over to Niche here, and I'm gonna read you a few reviews of how other people that either live or have lived in Greenville feel about this city. I know the last time I did a video here, I basically was driving around and I was just talking off the cuff. I didn't have no research. The research I've had at the time was limited at most, but for the most part, those videos were off the cuff. This time, I'm armed with a few pieces of data. So with that being said, now Greenville, out of 14 reviews on Niche, Greenville scores a 4, let me count the stars here. Out of 5 stars, it scores a, 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's something wrong here. 1, 2. It scores a 3.5 out of a 5-star rating. It's 3.5 out of a 5-star rating. Now, for those camera cut off for me, I apologize. Like I was saying, this city scores a 3.5 out of a 5-star rating. Now, for those of you that are new to the channel and you never seen a traveling blog on this channel before, when it comes to the reviews, typically I read 2 to 3 reviews out of each category. I start with excellent, which is a 5-star, and I go all the way down to terrible, which is a 1-star. So excellent, which is 5 stars, I'm gonna start there. Okay, this first review was written August of 2019. It's a 5-star review. I like that the crime here isn't high. There isn't very much for younger people to do, so I like for the city to have more youth-centered places to attend. The next review was written May of 2019, and these are all 5-star reviews, by the way. My experience in Greenville has been great. I'm just looking forward to an advancement so I can open my door and opportunities for my family and I. And I'll read one more. This one was written in 2017. This one's a little older. It's another 5-star. I like the people of Greenville. The culture that is provided by the citizens cannot be replicated by no other town. The diversity of the population allows for any person of any religion, race, etc. to come and settle down. And I gotta be honest, now that I've been here a few times, I can totally see that. I can totally see that. In fact, there was a house that I was looking at here some time ago because I thought about moving here to Greenville. Unfortunately, the house was not in the type of neighborhood that I would prefer to live in. And plus the house needed quite a bit of repairs. However, the people in that area were real nice. The neighbors appeared to be real friendly. And I was definitely able to feel that Southern hospitality that a lot of people talk about when they think of Alabama. And I would say, depending on where you reside here in Greenville, you can still experience that Southern hospitality here in Greenville. But unfortunately, the house needed a lot of work, and I just went crazy about the particular neighborhood where that property was located. Okay. Now I'm going to read a few reviews that are 4 stars. Starting with this one. Now, this first review was written April of 2020. I like how the community comes together to support everyone. When we have plays or performances in the Ritz Theater, people donate to see the program succeed. People support the local businesses. The town is small enough to know everyone, but big enough you do not have to see them every day, which is a good thing. It gives people a chance to live their lives. One thing I would change is that I would want more money to go into the school budget. I think we could better teach the kids if we had better or new books, more technology, or if we could add to the athletic programs and give more to offer. Okay, the next 4-star review. This one was written October 2018. It's a little older. Oh, and by the way, I'm just realizing now that when I recorded this video, I forgot to clean my windshield. So my apologies. I was just so eager to get this video done that I forgot to clean my windshield. Greenville is a great place to raise a family. Healthy living could be boosted by having healthier eating options. Well, this is Southern Alabama, so you get what you get. I'm just saying. We are very limited in the fast food we have in town, as well as the grocery options available. Activities for adults are extremely limited. The most entertainment in Greenville is the movie theater, which recently reopened after a short ownership change. The families and young people in Greenville deserve the ability to have healthy lifestyle choices other than shopping for groceries and necessities at the local Walmart. All in all, Greenville is a nice little town to raise family, and it is safe. But as any small town, there is always room for improvement and growth to better serve the community. And that's one thing about living in some of these communities to where the cost of living is lower. Sometimes the lower cost of living, you're not going to have the Publix. You're not going to have your Whole Food stores. You're not going to have the entertainment. And that's just one of the things you typically have to deal with when you live in a city like this one, where typically your cost of living is lower than most parts of the country. And I'll read one more. It's a great place for the retired population. There is not enough geared towards those who fall in between senior citizen and young children. And that statement could be debatable in my opinion, because it depends on what you're looking for on whether or rather not Greenville might be for you or not. I'm going to leave it right there. Now, before when I recorded this video, I thought Greenville was super sketchy, and I really didn't have much good about the city to say. But the more that I've gotten to know Alabama, and the more that I familiarize myself with many of these smaller cities, the more I realize that there's parts of these cities that I did not know even existed, that I neglected to drive through when I did my older videos. So I would say when it comes to Greenville, it depends on what you're looking for on whether or rather not Greenville is a good place to live. It depends on what you're looking for. Okay, let's go down to the 3 stars. Now these reviews are 3-star reviews. Now these ones are older. Like this first review was written back in July of 2016. We have some crime, but I feel relatively safe in this town. The next one was written July of 2016, another 3-star. Small towns have a closeness about them. However, that can sometimes be a bad thing. Everyone knows your business or makes things up based on what you think, or on what they think. Okay, I'm gonna keep it moving. There's one statement. It's a long one. It was written 12 months ago. It's a 2-star. Let's see what they gotta say. Greenville needs a lot of improvement. I lived there most of my life and ended up leaving not only Greenville, but the whole state of Alabama because I could not individually grow the way I wanted to. The main great thing about Greenville is the fact that you can still get a good sized home for an affordable price while the economy is unstable. Well, depending on what they're calling unstable, the housing prices right now have went up substantially. And like I said, right now, if you're looking at buying a house here, unless you come across a house that's reasonably priced, don't do it. Because right now, the housing prices here, in my opinion, are too high, like I told you guys before. So let me keep on going with this statement. Be very smart about who you choose to socialize with, because there's a lot of jealous-hearted people who will criticize any little thing you do better for yourself. To make matters worse, crime is increasing right now. It's in certain areas, but if crime is not addressed, it will only spread. This is to not say there aren't any great people in Greenville, because there are. On top of that, job opportunities are very limited. The hospitals and clinics aren't the best. There is nothing fun for younger residents to do. The schools are horrible, even to include private schools in parentheses. And there is little to no healthy options besides 2 gyms. And again, when you move to a region of the country, such as southern Alabama, where for the most part, cost of living is significantly lower than most parts of the country, there's just certain amenities that you're not gonna find. It is what it is. If you want the Whole Foods stores and you want 10 different gyms and you want all the healthy options, I mean, that's well and good, but you're gonna have to move to a community that offers all that, and that's gonna typically involve having to pay more money for your housing. And when it comes to the jobs, well, you can, like I told you at the beginning of the video, you can always drive into Montgomery for work if you have to. Or if you find some, yeah, you can always drive into Montgomery for work if you have to. Let's see. Now there's one review that's terrible. It's a 1-star review. It was written July of 2021, so let's see what they gotta say. It's a podunk. This is what this, and I'm reading this for verbatim. It's a podunk town in the middle of nowhere, and yet there are no vacancies in any hotels. 0 out of 10 will not return to this town. To quote my family, what's so special about Greenville? What's so special about Alabama? Clearly these people are not from Alabama. Clearly they never even lived in Greenville. They were just passing through and visiting Greenville, and they've had a negative experience about Greenville. So they really didn't say anything that I would consider helpful. It is what it is, whatever. All right, folks. Now, here's my opinion about Greenville. Like I said earlier in the video, if I were to move to Greenville, I personally would move to the outskirts of the city. Because Greenville does have some outskirts that are nice. And sometimes you can find some houses out in the outskirts that are relatively affordable, like under $100,000 affordable if you're willing to do a little bit of work to them. Or if you want something turnkey and move-in ready, I would say you can still find some houses out in the outskirts for under 150 grand. But it's one of those type of deals where you gotta be patient, you gotta look, and when you see something you like, you gotta jump on it. And as far as living in town, I would say for those that have a little bit of money, like for those that might be able to spare a couple $100,000 or more for a home, there's a lot of super nice neighborhoods like the one I'm driving down right now, which this area is going towards the business district. Like it's going towards like Walmart and I forgot what the name of the hardware store is called, but it's going towards that little business district in Greenville. So I would say if you have maybe, like I said, if you have $200,000 or greater, you will probably be able to find something around here that you'll like. And this is, I believe this neighborhood is considered the north end of the city. Because around here, because like I said, this area is close to the business district. Positive. And that's going to do it for the commentary. I mean, there's still 7 more minutes left of the video. I would love for you guys to stick around and watch those 7 minutes. And on that note, y'all stay blessed. I'll catch y'all in the next one.